So hopefully you guys can see me now. Can you guys see me? Are we live? Are we live? I don't know. Sometimes I have problems with this software. So we haven't done this for a while. And I'm doing a live feed tonight with Scab and Joe over at JS Bladeworks. So I thought we'd talk about this. And the reason that this is even happening is because, hey, what's up? So a couple of reasons. I already told Joe what was happening. I am having a hard time getting the video that I had scheduled for today to go up without a copyright. So the thing with the copyrights, Bladecraft, JS Blade, that channel right there. See that guy right there? See where it says JS Bladecraft? That's Joe. I'm going to be live with him and Scab on there. And if this is too loud, let me know. I haven't set this whole audio setup up lately. Joe, you like this setup? This is cool. These are my sponsors, guys. These guys are actual sponsors. There's links to all my videos where you can go to Tempered Trail, which is my friend Nathan, and you can pick up amazing. He's doing leather wallets. He's also doing the best laces you're ever going to get for a pair of boots ever. They're basically unbreakable. And then the Coffee Brand Coffee, you guys know, I drink a lot of coffee. That's why we're starting a little bit late. I was still making coffee. So at any rate, the reason this happened is I was having a hard time with copyright. And Joe can tell you too, if you do a lot of editing, you do a lot of videos, and you use audio clips, even if they are free, there's companies out there that try to claim them. Well, I had a video that was supposed to go up today, and it kept getting a copyright claim. And I thought I'd gotten it pushed through. And so basically, it's going to go back and sit. And I didn't have a thumbnail or anything ready for anything else. So you guys aren't going to get to see that video probably till I can figure out if I can find a license for the audio or something like that. At any rate, so what happens is those videos basically sit for up to 30 days because I can test it. And as long as you don't make any revenue on a video, they're not going to try and take it. So you leave it up for 30 days. They see there's no revenue. And then they basically, their claim expires and I can put that video up. So I don't know what I'm gonna have to do. There will be a video up for tomorrow. Like Streamlabs said, do not forget to hit the like button. But that's not the only, so the other reason is I saw everybody lose their mind when Facebook and Instagram went down this morning. And I'm like, if you guys are losing your mind about this, what's going to happen when there's an actual emergency? What's going to happen when there's an actual event? And how prepared are you? We like to talk about we're prepared because we've got a knife in our pocket. And we always talk about, oh, well, I'm carrying my designated self-defense knife, and I'm guilty of this as well. And this is an amazing self-defense knife. When we talk about being prepared, a lot of times we forget that that is a broad topic of being prepared. And I'm not trying to say become a prepper. When we get into this, I want to make that very clear. You got to have this is the Coffee Brand Coffee Roaster's Choice for this month. I can't remember what it is. It's fucking amazing, though. I got to tell you, it's a very, very good cup of coffee. At any rate, so being prepared doesn't always mean, how come I'm not seeing you guys' comments? Hang on a second. Let me, that's why I put the chat box down. There we go. So, well, like I said, being prepared doesn't always mean, what am I doing here? It doesn't always mean like, oh, you're going to be a prepper and you got to have all, I'm sorry, I'm moving. I know I'm moving my background around. I'm sorry. I don't want to give you guys an aneurysm. My bad. So, shit, let me see here. I'm trying to reposition the chat box. At any rate, well, we've got it all figured out. At any rate, like I said, it's not about being prepared just for a day-to-day, like walking around in your neighborhood and having a flashlight in your pocket and all that stuff, right? It's, I'm still trying to get this. I'm trying to bring this back up to where it's supposed to be. There we go. Now we're good. There are things that are going to happen that, there's things that's going to happen that you're just going to have to be prepared for. Like, do you have the things you need in the event of an actual emergency? People were flipping out because Facebook and Instagram went down, and you would think that the world had come to an end. and they, yeah, he's in New York, unfortunately. Um, People just lost their minds. The only thing that I had an issue with was because that's typically how I communicate with my sister and my mother back home, because cell service is not as reliable back there. So when we were trying to communicate this morning, we had we had a hard time. Oops, sorry about that. Oh, yeah, there you go. There's my subscription goal. I'm trying to get to my membership goal. If you guys want to join the memberships, there's a link in the description, all my videos. At any rate, what I was saying is you have these things that happen and people think it's the end of the world. But when something big actually does happen, they have no idea what to do. And so there's just some things that people need to have. And so, like, there's recommended things. Like your day to day, we always talk about being prepared. Well, I've got a flashlight, I've got this, I've got that. But then you look at it like, okay, if the power is out for a significant period of time, right? How are you going to recharge that flashlight, right? Do you have a secondary option? If the power is out for a significant period of time, are you going to be able to have water, right? Do you have water? Do you have means to have a fresh water source? So there's a lot of things that go into being ready. That's not just, oh, I've got my everyday carry knife, I've got my gear in my pocket, I'm ready to go. I recommend, these are the things that I recommend everybody think about. Like people, my friends are like, oh, you shouldn't buy bottled water. I'm like, well, we keep bottled water in the house for a specific reason. If we have to leave, and I'm trying to watch the chat too, guys, sorry. If we have to leave, I want to have clean water enough to get me somewhere. But I also know that I have a survival straw in each car, and I have 2 more in my bag. I have a bug out bag, which is something I recommend. And I'm not talking, this isn't like prepper stuff. A bug out bag is something that you want to have. You rotate things out of it. You want to have you want to have enough water to get you through your first part of your journey if you have to leave town. And the reason I'm talking about all this is I want you to think about what recently happened here in San Diego. We had massive flooding more than once. They've had massive flooding in the last 2 years up outside of LA, above LA, and you've got to be able to leave, right? You got to be able to leave if you have to. And having a bug out bag for everybody in the house is essential. And it's something as simple as a couple bottles of water, right? And the reason we use bottled water is because I'm not going to be dragging those big, heavy 5-gallon jugs around. I can grab that case of water and throw it in the car. Each one of our bags has 2 bottles of water plus a case of water that I can throw in either one of the cars or both cars if we have to both leave. That's why we keep a minimum of 2 cases of bottled water. They're more manageable. You can throw them in your bag. I can't, like, I don't want to have to be refilling bottles if I'm on the go from a 5-gallon, water jug in the back of the car. I don't want to have to necessarily stop. We might have to just go and get it. We got to get out of town. 2 bottles of water, fresh change of clothes, 2 pairs of dry socks, extra pair of shoes, if you can fit them in the bag. If not, the other option is have that stuff ready. Have your house ready to bug out. Medications you need, are they all in one place or are they spread out? Like, oh, I've got these medicines downstairs because I take them in the morning, and I got these medicines upstairs because I take them at night. Are all these things you got to think about, just being prepared. And a lot of times military guys are a lot better at this, but I've also seen a lot of guys that aren't. That's what I'm saying. Like, you're going to have to figure out what you want in your bug out bag. Are you going to have to, you might just be going to like a shelter. You might just have to leave your house because it's flooded out or there's a fire. They do evacuations here in California. California, everybody should have all these things ready to go because we have wildfires all the time. So if you're in an area where there's wildfires, you may have to leave your house and you may never go back to that house again. It might not be there. So you got to have enough stuff ready to just get yourself out of the situation and go. And another thing I recommend, we all rely, and this morning was the key point on this, we all rely on technology so much. We all rely on technology so much that we forget but sometimes technology is going to fail. Like, you got your cell phone. You're like, oh well, I've got maps on my cell phone. Cell phone outage here not too long ago. You remember that? The cell phones were out. You know, there might be, pardon me, there might be some event that you lose cell phone coverage. Period. And then what are you gonna do? This thing is now basically useless. And on top of that, once again, you got a way to charge this. Now I've got several battery banks that we keep charged all the time. Are you going to be able to charge this in the event of an emergency? For a lot of people, the answer is no. You could charge it in your car. What if you have to leave your car? What if the road is blocked and you have to leave your car? Maps, atlases, there you go. If you have AAA, they offer free paper maps. I actually own an atlas. It's an older atlas. I bought it used because it was cheap. I bought it at a used bookstore here in San Diego. It's an atlas. They haven't built any new roads lately from point A to point B where I need to go to get out of California if I'm trying to get to Ohio. Having an atlas, being able to read an atlas and know where you're going and having an idea in your head where you're going to go. These are all parts of this. So it's just one of those things that I think people just gloss over because today's society, it's just so easy. Everything's so easy and we rely on technology so much. It's just one of those things that just, like I said, go look at people melting down. Facebook and Instagram are down. I don't know what to do. Like, and I get it. A lot of times people are just running their businesses through it, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to do with my day. What are you usually doing during the day? Are you working and things like that? You should be. But this was just one of those things. So now I've got the chat here. There's like, looks like I can't, either 4 or 6 of you here, which is a shitty number of people to have in a live feed. It fucking sucks. Apparently people aren't getting notifications. But what do you guys have and how prepared are you? Like I have a bunch of these flashlights. You know why I have a bunch of these flashlights? There's one of these for each one of the people in my family. My wife has one, my daughter has one, and I have one. You know why I keep a bunch of these? These are AAAs. I keep a ton of AAA batteries around the house. I keep a ton of AA batteries around the house because there are things you're going to want to have. Flashlight's always a good thing to have. Another thing, do you have a means if you have to leave? You might have to be somewhere out in the woods because who knows, right? Who knows what's going to happen in the future? A way to start a fire. This is a tinder kit from Fiberlight Fire Starters. I pulled this out of my go bag. There's a whistle, there's tinder, waterproof tinder, and a striker for, a ferrocerium rod striker in this. It is everything you need to start a fire right here, as long as you can find dry wood. Right there. They still sell these. Fiberlight Fire Starters. My friend Justin used to own the company, sold it to another veteran, veteran-owned, veteran-operated, USA-made, everything except the ferrocerium rod, because they don't have those. And guys, I know everybody hates when I do it, but I do have super chats available. If you guys want to drop a super chat to support the channel, you don't have to. I would prefer you join the membership because I'm about to do a giveaway for the paying members. If you paying members are watching, I'm probably going to try and film, since I have this up, I'm probably going to film and record a giveaway. There we go, a giveaway. And I think this week is pretty expensive giveaway. We're talking like $200 knife. I think that's what I'm giving away this time. So on top of that, when you're talking about being ready and having things, right? Like we all have knives, right? Do you have the right knife? I'm going to tell you right now. Scab gave this to me. He told me I can have this. This is the Grizzly. Now you don't necessarily have that. This is something that I'm adding. This is going to go in my bag that's next to the garage door that goes out the door. And I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to keep it clean. I'm going to keep it waxed and oiled. This is everything you need if you have to go into the wilderness. Like I'm saying, there are events that could happen that would drive people out of cities. They're off, they're off the cuff, and people are like, oh, it's conspiracy theory. That's why I'm not saying them. Guys, watch the news, and not just MSNBC. Watch all the news that you're not getting from all the sources. You got to compile some news. There may come an event where you're like, I want the fuck out of the city and to go nowhere, where there's no one. You're going to want this, because this is a knife. It is a hatchet. It is a hammer. It is everything you need, all in one big package. Another option that I'm in love with is this one. You guys are going to see the video about this. This was the video that was supposed to go up today, by the way. The Carnivora. This is that one that was the worst knife I ever got, and then they redeemed themselves by sending me one of the best knives in this size factor I've ever had. Like really, really, really good. It's like night and day. This is was it? My Kukri, all-time best blade geometry for everything. Yeah, and this has a lot of those same things going for it that a Kukri does. So it's not always like, oh, I'm prepared because I've got like this. Can you sustain that? But my buck knife, Ed, you goofball. And I don't know. I see you guys are seeing it, but you know, right here, I don't know why it's so laggy. And you guys' posts are coming up. I'm trying to see. I see them off here where you guys can't see them. Another thing, we're talking about relying on technology. Everybody's like, well, I don't need a map. I've got my phone. Get a map.
For the love of God, get a map.
Because there's a lot of people that don't know any way out of town. Like my wife has to use navigation to go to places we've gone a bunch of times. I can get everywhere in Southern California. I can get anywhere. I can go all the way from here to San Francisco by memory, which isn't that hard in San Diego. But I'm saying, like, I can get to places. Like I can go to Los Angeles airport and things like that without needing the navigation. Now I use the navigation on my phone because I can avoid traffic that way. But knowing where you're going and having a map in case you get off the beaten track is great. And another thing, everybody's like, well, I don't need GPS. I've got it in my phone. This is a GPS compass. It's an old Bushnell backtrack. They don't even make them anymore. I've had it forever. It's got a compass and GPS. You can put waypoints in this and find things. We use this when we would go to amusement parks and stuff. Honest to God, when my daughter was little, you could leave your stroller and we would leave like our food and stuff in it. And I would mark this. I would mark the location of it on this and then slip this in my pocket or my backpack that I was carrying so that we could remember exactly where we left the stroller, because things get moved and things like that, especially at like SeaWorld. Parking lots, location of your car. But the best thing to have is just an old school good compass. My father got me this compass when I wasn't even 16. I wasn't even 16. I've had this compass. I'm 50. I think I was 14 or 15 when he gave this to me. When I really started going out and being in the woods, and he was like, okay, you need a good compass. And he got this for me for a birthday present. And it stayed true, and it has stayed with all of my stuff. I took this. Guess where this was? My go bag. I took this out of my go bag to put it in the video, and it's going to go right back in. I've had this for 30 some odd years. I've had this, and it's still a great, great compass. And it's a map compass. If you look at it, you can put it on your map. You can find yourself, you can grid, measure things out, and you can figure out where you're at in the wilderness with this. So all of those things are things that you should have. And I do not know why this is not. I'm going to close the chat box out. bring it back up. And I'm going to get rid of this. I don't know why that was like that. So Shady, Be Shady 22. So yeah, just like having all those things, it's great. But if you don't, oh, there we go. Transparent eyes, if anything happens to technology, I've accepted my death and demise. I like to shut everything off occasionally. I just like to shut everything off, and then have a just a day where we don't have any technology. So, but I mean that's the gist of it. But like, it's just the chat's open. What is the stuff that you guys have? That's right. Like I said, always water, means to make fire. Oh, firearms. We don't talk about firearms in the channel a lot because it's kind of a no-no subject on YouTube. But if you're gonna take firearms, think logically. Like you've got if you have to bug out and go, and then like out into the wilderness, like I said, like a horrible mass casualty event, you wind up in the woods, and that's what you're doing. Like you have to go. I'm not saying like falling off, like getting off the grid and shit like that. I'm talking like collapse of society and you got to get out of the city because shit's just falling apart. I'm not talking just because I'm crazy and I want to go live in the woods. Think real hard about what you're taking, right? If you can take multiple items, that's great. But if you have something that fits multiple purposes, that's even better. So I've got firearms. I have a shotgun. I've got a couple long guns, and I've got pistols. Right? Not all of them are here. I'm just saying, like in general, most of them are not here in California and Ohio. But I do have a 22 revolver that is going to be my hands down go-to, got to go in the bag. If I can't take anything else, that has to go. That's my pew-pew. You know why? Because while I do have larger caliber handguns, I might not have room for a shotgun. I can't hunt game with a 44 Magnum. I can't hunt game with a 45 ACP, small game. I can with a 22 revolver. See what I'm saying? And it's still viable for self-defense purposes in a pinch. If you have an item that meets, case in point, if you have an item that fits multiple roles and does not take up as much space as taking all of those items, that's the thing you take. This is a knife. This is a trail hatchet. This is a draw knife. This is a plane to make flat spots if you're trying to do, and basically this would do all the tasks you need in the wilderness. I recommend having a pocket knife for smaller duty tasks. You're not going to be skinning out an animal with this or cutting tent stakes or doing any fine detail. You're not picking a splinter out with this monster. I had to tape this. I knew I was gonna show this to you guys. Those D-rings rattle really bad. Swim goggles, broke off cigarette filters allow you to operate right. Yeah, I'm not talking about like that's getting into the realm of stuff that I'm not really talking about. I'm just talking about like if you've got a roll. The big one is in the event of a disaster and emergency. Like I said, we've had historic flooding in San Diego recently. We've also had, we're prone to fires. We're prone to, I do know that you can get away with a lot of stuff like that, Lone Star. But we've had a lot of recent, like kind of natural disaster scenario stuff going on. Plus, we get earthquakes here. We get wildfires. We get stuff like that. But yeah, that will get, as long as they don't pepper spray the coffee filter or the cigarette filters. Guys, I'm wearing my Steven Crowder Strange Animal sweatshirt, and I'm drinking out of my Louder with Crowder mug. That's currently the only. It's currently the only channel that I support. Speaking of which, got memberships. If you guys want to join a membership to the channel, That'd be great. If you want to drop super chats, that'd be great. But the big one is, can you see there what Streamlabs put up? Are you subscribed? It helps. And drop a like. I can't see how many likes are on this. Hang on a second. I think I'm gonna sneeze. I'm back. Sorry about that. I thought I was gonna sneeze. Zoroaster! How many likes we got on us? I can't tell. I don't see the like ratio because I'm not on YouTube. And here's the thing. I want to gift memberships to you guys, and I have not figured out how to do it. So there's 13 people here, 12 likes. That means that the guys that are here now probably have not dropped it. Drop a like. There's like 15 of you guys here, 15 likes, but I guarantee it's not all the 15 that you guys that are here. So what do you guys recommend carrying? What do you guys have? What do you guys have ready? Greg, what's up, Greg? Greg, I thought you were a member. What happened to your? Greg? Did you fall out of the memberships? It's cool if you didn't. I remember you being a member. So I'm watching the chat. Went broke. Okay, no, that's fine. So, oh, you got is the FLN? Is that the one? Is that the one that Jared did with Tim? I can't remember. Oh, pardon me. So guys, here we go. Now I'm gonna tell you something right now. You guys drive the chat on these, so I don't mind if you guys are talking to each other. That's fine. We've reached a point where I've elicited your responses for this. Your trunk bag is ridiculously loaded, and I loosened up the criteria for the chatbot, so you can go up to 200 characters, which I think is the maximum you can do anyway on YouTube. So I put it to match. I'm sorry, guys. Chatbot was a little bit over the top with enforcing the long text message format. So a mini cook set. Yeah, well, I have one of those. That's what I was going to say. I have a mini cook set and an alcohol stove. I also have a frame that folds up that you can put over a fire and a small fire in another bag. Not fire. It's a small little, I don't know what you call it. It's a stick burner, but it's like a furnace. It's like a fire pit. Skate bag, gold coins and bracelets, passports, marriage book, along with usual contents of my wallet. See, I don't have gold coins, but I'm going to tell you what, like, if everything collapses, everybody's like, oh, have gold coins. It'll always, you know what? The prime currency that you need to have is 7.2, 7.62, 556, 357. That is the currency that's going to matter. Because when shit really does hit the fan, and if society does collapse, gold's not going to happen. Like, people are going to be like, great, you got gold. I want food. And if you've got food and I have bullets, you don't have food. I do. I joked about it for years. I was like, here in Southern California, if shit falls apart and we're stranded and everything's closed, and I know my neighbors have food and they don't have a means to defend themselves, I'm going shopping with that currency at their house. Dry goods. That's another one. Dry goods. I have a stockpile of dried, different country, different tasks, conditions, and standards. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, gold is gold. If the economy collapses, gold's worthless. Like, if everything collapses and the government collapses, gold's worthless because they don't have any way to cash in on it. Ammunition. That's the currency that you're going to buy everything with. And it will digress. I'm telling you, it will fall apart, and you'll have people that are prepared to do necessary things to protect their families. And then you have the people that are not. And the people that are not will be the supply lines for the people that are. So just one of those things, like I'm saying, like, That's the currency that matters. Toilet paper. Toilet paper will be worth more than gold. No, it won't. Do you guys remember when there was the big run on toilet paper with the coof pandemic? When everybody got the Rona? But the thing they went out and bought was toilet paper instead of buying dry goods and stuff like that, and there was no toilet paper. We had toilet paper because we always just have toilet paper. Like nothing, that's one thing you don't want to run out of. I had bought a bundle of shop rags and 2 buckets. You know why? Because I can wash those. 2 cases of water, canned food, extra meds, first aid kits. There's first aid kits in both the vehicles. Good first aid kits. Don't, like those shitty ones that you see at the gas station. Those aren't the ones you want. Build yourself a first aid kit with the things that you would need. Not like, oh, I cut my finger changing a tire. No, like, I'm hurt pretty bad and I got to figure something out. Suture kits. I have several suture kits. There's a reason. I've sewn myself up before. I'm allergic to the numbing agent that they give you. So that, just to give you guys a backstory on it, I started getting suture kits because I got tired of going to the hospital and waiting for them to suture me up after because when you cut yourself, the injury is going to be fairly numb to begin with. I'm gonna tell you this. I know this for a fact. It's fairly numb. The longer you sit there, then it starts to hurt. Well, then the sensitivity has come back and that injured area is going to hurt when they sew it. And even if you can feel it, it's like a bee sting. It really, what hurts is the string going through. That's what does hurt. Teach yourself how to suture. It's a viable skill, especially if you're in the woods. If you're somebody that spends a lot of time in the woods, a good set of hemostats and a suture kit is something you should have, along with a means to clean the wound. Don't suture a dirty wound, please. So by the time I'm at the emergency room and they finally get me to the back, and then like you said, the scrubbing is the worst. After you're already like, I can feel that. And they're like, well, we can't numb you. It's too, and I'm like, okay, so it just makes more sense for me to scrub it and clean it here. And then suture it myself while it's still numb. So I don't even go. Yeah. Chatbot says, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And if you guys want to join the membership, please do so. There's usually a link down below. Join. I have got a, Zorro, can you put up the public Discord if you're still here, or one of my paying members that's a moderator? I have got a public Discord. I'm going to get Chatbot to start throwing it. I have a public Discord that you can join where you can, there's stuff that I want to do. So the public Discord is going to allow me to have better interaction with you guys. So you join the public Discord, and if you have stuff that you want, actually it's gilded, but it's just like this. It's just like Discord. If you have stuff that you want to send to me and you want to get a hold of me, or if you got questions about something that's on the channel, you can hit me up there, because it's a lot easier than hitting me up in the comments section of the video, because I've got 3,000 videos up now. 3,000, and they get comments. The videos that I put up 5-6 years ago still get comments. And at this point, the only thing I do when I go into the comments section is I check the held for review section and make sure that those comments, and I approve them or disapprove them, because there's certain things that I don't allow. Yeah, there you go. The Crazy Sharp community. Zorro just put it up. If you guys want to join that, I am on there. I don't post as often as I should, but I really, guys, I'm busy. I'm not even trying to lie to you. I'm busy. Tomorrow I go to Bob Trizuola's shop. I'm going to film at Bob's shop. So I'm trying to consolidate filming. I've been sick, as you guys can probably hear. It's really been hard to get stuff filmed. And then I had the problem with today's video. So that's why you're getting this instead. All you have to do is use the link, and then you can download the app to your phone. It's just like Discord. It's exactly like Discord. Like if you've got Discord, you know how to use Gilded. And it's just it's a public community that I wanted to build. So it's been a while since we got any new members. As a matter of fact, we've lost a lot of members, which sucks. But like I said, if you guys want to join a membership, if you do it soon, I know that Lone Star, you need to go to the community posts that I do and find the link to the private Discord for the members, because that's where I announce the winner of the giveaway for the paying members. I can't do it here. I mean, I'll do it in a members only post, but if you're going to get a hold of me, you got to do it through the private Discord. That's how I'm announcing it. That's where you're going to be able to get a hold of me. So oh no, I get it. And that's why everybody's like, oh, he's talking about the e-banking again. I have super chats. If people want to do a super chat to support the channel, that's great. It absolutely helps. Especially considering most of my live feeds, I get a little sideways on shit that I talk about. Okay, so there's a reason I don't do it on YouTube. You're going to have to do it that way or you're just not going to get into the giveaway. It is transparent. The members are there. It's an exclusive benefit for them. The fact is, if I do a members only giveaway here, YouTube flags it and I get in trouble because you can't do giveaways and you can't add that. It's not part of the benefits that they allow. And if you say members only giveaway, they flag your video. So I can't do it here. And then people get pissed like, well, that's not fair. Didn't do a giveaway for. I was like, these guys support the channel. Some of these guys pay $15 a month. So I'm just saying, like, it's plus, I don't know. Are you in the United States even? Lone Star? I don't know. That's what I was saying, because it's US only. No, I'm not trying to get you to send something for giveaway. I'm doing a giveaway. I think this month I'm giving away. Okay, yeah, no, I just want to make sure, because that's where I'm going to announce the winner. And I've started doing the giveaways are available to all the paying members. So hang on a second, I have to respond to this. I have a buddy that's coming up through. That's coming up from down below the border. He's working down there this week for his company, and then he's going back to Texas, but he's coming through. So, yeah, that's just one of the benefits I do. I do giveaways. Let me see. Where's it at? I got to see. It's not over there. I'm going to, I had it out for a video, and I'm going to do it as a giveaway because I don't carry it. It's a super, super good knife. It's the QSP Legatus M390. Where's it at? Hang on. Let me see. Did I put it away? I put it somewhere. It's not over there. So that's what's going to be going, and I think that's. I have a dog sitting behind me that decided. Did you see his tail? You guys can see his tail. You can go with her. He's been sitting out here with me the whole time. So. Hang on a second. I'll go grab it and I'll show you what it looks like. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. I'm right here. It is. No, it got put away. It got put away. It got put away. It's in a knife roll that got rolled up and put away. But that's what I'm going to do, and I'm probably going to do it later this week. So. But yeah, I get frustrated when people, like, I see channels that people go on and do that, and they're like, oh, there he goes, eBay. Us YouTube channels, you gotta figure we gotta try and maximize the revenue that we can. That's why I would like to say, if you guys go to any of my videos, there's an entire list of vendors in the description of my videos that that directly support the channel. And it doesn't cost you anything. Like, if you're going to buy a knife, please go find one, or go to the Discord, public Discord. I have in that public Discord, I have an announcement section that has every one of my affiliate links listed. If you're going to buy knives, you can buy them through there and it supports the channel. Yeah, if you guys are looking for a knife, now we're going to get into the subject of back into knives. We're talking about 41 minutes about being prepared, and you guys can keep asking, oh, I have a knife that you guys should check out for, it is out. It's out. Hang on. Talking about being prepared. Here's a knife that I absolutely will recommend. And they're coming soon. We're going to have more videos and stuff on that. But there's a knife done by Outdoor Element. Let me grab it. And I'll show you. It is a very, very good knife. Now, this is a really, really good knife. And this is not a knife that is going to be something, I got to make sure I can hear it correct. I don't need these for this, but I've got them hooked up. I may as well use them so I can make sure the audio and everything sounds good. We're talking about being ready. This is a knife that is it's a full package of things that you would need for being ready. So it's a very, very well done chisel ground knife. Now, this is like something that you can throw in your pack with something else. This is what I was saying. This would be supplementary to something like the Grizzly by Work Tough Gear, which Work Tough Gear stuff is amazing. But this is a nice little knife with a chisel grind so you can do a lot of stuff. And I mean a actual chisel. It's cut like a chisel, and then it has this edge, and this is ridiculously sharp. Nice thing about chisel grinds, they're easy to maintain. The reason I say that this is a prime knife to throw in your pack with those other things. The R1, I don't listen to what Super Steel Steve says. I'm sorry. The R1 is here. It's packed up. It's going to Scab for review. I'm conflicted. Super Steel C says veterans and retirees cannot buy U.S. knives, or they'll undermine the U.S. national security, yet he sends super chats to reviewers of Chinese knives. Here's my thing. And I'll say it, it's going to piss people off. Why should I pay, with the little bit of money I make from my retirement from the military, why should I pay twice the price for a knife that's half as good? I'm going to tell you right now. I have not bought an American-made knife in a long time that was as good as some of the other knives. It's unfair. It's not good. And a lot of it's because of the companies themselves and how much they charge. And they're overcharging, and they're getting greedy. And that's where I'm going to say on it. I recognize quality wherever I can find it. This, 100% American-made. This is probably one of the best outdoor knives I've had ever on the channel, to tell you the truth. This is probably one of the best fixed blade knives of this type of knife I've ever seen. It's 100% USA made. And I love it. But I also know that if I buy a $300 Benchmade, it's not going to be as good as a $90 knife coming from other companies. Look at Jared's video. He did the thing with Hinderer. Every one of those knives, with the exception of like 2, failed. At any rate, so this is the Flicker Feather by Outdoor Element. It is a outdoor style knife, like a supplementary knife. This is like a knife you would throw. If this was the knife you're going to take, this would be like a day trip knife to throw up on your pack. But it's got a fire starter. It's got a sharpening plate, diamond sharpening plate on it to touch the edge up if you need to. I want to say 115 or 150 decibel whistle. It's a loud whistle, and I just barely tweeted on that. Loud. I blew on it outside, made my ears ring. Pretty sure my neighbors were like, what the fuck was that? It's got a ferrocerium rod fire starter on it. You strike with the spine of the knife, and it is very, very sharp. They're done in, I believe, if I remember right, VG10. They're done in VG10 steel, so it's going to be easy to maintain. There is a drop point version of this. It has a pull-through sharpener on it. This has a flat one because it's a chisel. So it's It's definitely a very good thing to add, and it's got multiple tie down points, and it's got a clip. It's not a real good like pocket clip or belt clip, but it is something that if you look at that clip is going to hook on. Get a good spot where you guys can see it. It's going to hook on and lock onto your backpack straps. This would be one. You throw these two together. Sorry, blocked the microphone. You throw these two together and you've got what you need for some longer term outdoor adventures. Have a tent. Do you guys have a tent? Anybody got a tent? I got a tent. It sits next to the door with my bug out bag in case I need it. Like, you don't know. You might, like I said, in the event of an emergency, wind up at a shelter. Blankets. 2 blankets right next to the thing. Sleeping bag. 2 sleeping bags. I have all that out here. I even have an air mattress. So, and then the other thing, talking about preparedness, go through your stuff. Go through your stuff and make sure it's still good. If you've got water bottles, I swap out the water bottles that are in the 3 bags. That's 6 water bottles total. I swap them out every month, and then I drink them or stuff like that. That's what I have. I have the military, the black, green, and Gore-Tex covered modular sleeping systems. I have 2 of those, and I have another one. But I also have some other stuff. I don't either. Lone Star, I don't either. YouTube just doesn't send notifications. That's the problem. YouTube doesn't like my content. It's the same reason that you don't get notifications about other channels. I don't know what I did or when I did it, but I pissed off YouTube and I've been shadow banned for a very long time. My videos used to get a lot more views. My content, my live feeds used to get a lot more views. I don't know. I don't know when it happened. 14,000 followers and only 14 people watching my live feed. I don't know, but here's the thing. That 14 people you see, they're going to fluctuate as people that roll in and out. And a lot of people watch them after. And the other thing is, it's 10:48 p.m. I'm sorry, it's 10:48 a.m. Pacific, which means that the majority of people, it's 1 o'clock Eastern time. Most people are at work. It's just when I decided to do it because today's video just isn't going up. It may. I may be able to schedule something for later. But the video and everything that I had ready to go for today, just, it's not going up. So, you know, if you want to share it, you could go out and tell people. You could share it on Instagram like, hey, he's live right now. I even got the cowbell out. You guys haven't seen the cowbell in a while. I got the cowbell out in case somebody dropped a super chat. With, let's see if my French is correct. Le petit bâton noir, the little black stick. Petit bâton rouge is a little red stick, and that's how they judge the ripeness of Tabasco peppers. Did you know that? That's what Baton Rouge, Baton Rouge, red stick. That's the name of that town. So, just little things pop into my head, and I have to say them. You guys haven't seen a cowbell in a while. I thought I'd show you. Sounds like this. That doesn't sound good at all. There we go. That's better. The thing inside it's broke. It bent. It makes it sound weird. I usually lurk and listen on whoever's live. I keep my cowbell muted for silent stealth encounters. All around your neck, like. I was watching a video about cheese last night, like making cheese. I couldn't sleep very well. And I was like, fuck it, I'll just watch YouTube. And I was like, let's see what random shit. So I signed out of my account and then just went to YouTube unsigned in. And I was like, man, there's some weird shit on YouTube. You know, when you build your preferences, the algorithm is ridiculous. As I was talking with Alex, I talked with Alex Garland yesterday. So Outdoors 55, I was talking with him yesterday. And we talked for a little bit, and we were talking about YouTube and how it's so hit or miss. You can't figure out anything. And everybody thinks they've got the algorithm nailed because they got once you get above a certain number of subscribers, they're just going to recommend your shit. And they tell you what to do. And you're like, motherfucker, that's what I do every goddamn time. Right. And I was like I talk to other YouTubers that are like bigger YouTubers that aren't necessarily in a knife content venue. And I'm like, they're like, oh, well, you need to do this. I'm like, motherfucker, what do you think I'm doing? Like, I do that shit every goddamn day. And they're like, well, no, that's how the algorithm works. I was like, no, it's because you've got 500,000 subscribers. So YouTube is obviously going to recommend your stuff further. I got 14. Right? Like, fucking dude was trying to tell me, it's like, oh, it's all about putting the tags in that are the popular tags in your search. I was like, I put hashtags in the description. I got tags in the write-up. I got so much stuff going on. My buddy Polly was calling me, and I'm like, no, ain't happening. I was like, I can't talk right now. What's everybody's favorite locking system on a folder? Bro, there's so many good ones. That's a good question, Zora. What's everybody's favorite? I prefer, I'm gonna tell you, like, my favorite one of all. Like, if I had to pick one that was gonna be just because it's never gonna fail. God damn it. Lone Star. Triad. The Triad lock. The Triad lock is incredibly good. I mean, you cannot beat it. It is the best. And everybody's like, well, no, you got this lock and you got that lock. And I'm like, yeah, but the Triad lock is it's still the most user functional. And it's not going to have anywhere near the failures you have. You know that Atlas lock that, you know what that Atlas lock that they did for a couple of the knives? Was it the Atlas lock? I think that's what it was. I can't remember. Yeah, at any rate, they tried to kind of duplicate the stuff that the Shark lock does, which is another really good lock, by the way. The Shark lock is really good. But I had someone tell me, it's like, do a pummel strike. And granted, a lot of us aren't going to do a pummel strike. I'll get around to what I was getting to. So I put on leather gloves, and I took the knife, and I took a board, and I put some padding on it, and I smacked it, and that lock came undone. The impact of it, there was enough impact that it allowed that lock to come undone. And I was like, well, that's not good. And everybody's like, well, who's going to actually do that? I'm like, that's not the point. The point is, if you drop that knife, and then that blade, or if you bump into something hard enough and it comes closed on your hand, I just prefer, and a lockback is ambidextrous. So Triad lock is ambidextrous, right and left-handed. After that, I would have to say probably the compression lock, because it is absolutely a very easy lock to use and manipulate. And with that also, the compression lock is way up there on that strength level with things like the Triad lock. And then after that would be like Axis lock, if it's done well. Oh, you want to hear me get pissed off? We're talking about American and Chinese. I have several offshore made. They're not all Chinese. I have several knives that have a Triad lock. One of them was made Taiwan. A couple of them are made in Taiwan. One was made in Malaysia. At any rate, and all of those knives has a better access lock on it than Benchmade. And I'm like, Benchmade, how are you putting out, like, and here's my thing. Oh yeah, there's my sponsor. The sponsor right there. If you guys want to check them out, you can save 10% with that link. At any rate, the button locks are good too. I like button locks. Button locks are not as robust as some of the other locks. They're good. they're just an ease of operation thing, and they're nice, and especially now that there's some good ones. Um, but let me grab it. It's right there. I can see it. I can see. Oh crap! I can see my PM2, and it's usually in my pocket, but the pants I'm wearing don't have pockets because I was like, if I'm going to do this for a couple hours, I'm going to be comfortable. What do I put in my coffee? Heavy cream. I don't like half and half, and I don't like artificial. I don't like artificial uh, creamers and shit like that. If I'm going to put anything in my coffee, it's heavy cream. If I don't have heavy cream, my wife uses half and half for a lot of stuff, for cooking. Um, the compression lock, such a good lock. I am in my studio, and the level of comfort you get from just putting on a pair of sweatpants is amazing. I got news for you. You guys want to know a little secret? A lot of times in those videos you see, because you can't see me from below here, a lot of times I'm just wearing a pair of sweatpants. If I go anywhere, I'm absolutely not. The great thing about the compression lock is the ease of using it, the multiple different deployment methods. It is ambidextrous because just how it is. It's like a button lock. And big shout out to the guy to OCD for EDC, the CME. If I ever have another knife with a compression lock, it will not be without a CME. Once you get used to it, it is like, now I'm like, I understand why my buddy that's left-handed doesn't buy left-handed, but you can buy left-handed button locks. Did you know this? I didn't know this. He's like, yeah, there's some you can buy left-handed button locks. Didn't know that. He's like, but I like right-handed button locks. I was like, why? He's like, because where the button is for my index finger. Same thing. Same thing. This turns this into like a left-handed button lock, right? So if I button lock, it's right here, right? If you're left-handed, that puts it for your index finger, and you're not going to be pinching on it, and it's a much more comfortable way to deploy. You don't have to readjust. This turns this into the equivalent of, what the fuck was that? Hang on, I got to mute that other phone. He has I have a friend that has a tendency, if he can't get a hold of me on one phone, I have two phones. There's a reason. I used to have an LLC, and I don't know if you've ever owned a business. The phone number that's tied to your LLC just gets fucking swamped. The business phone, oh my god. And so it basically turned that phone number into an unusable phone number. I just had to get another line. It was just cheaper. At any rate, what is this? So, pizza. Which folding knife locking mechanism? I don't have my reading glasses on. Will last the longest in terms of opening and closing. Okay, so there's a lot of things that you got to think about when you're doing that, because like the opening and closing, you're gonna get deformation of the lock posts and things like that. I'm gonna tell you right now, if a knife has a stop pin, a single stop pin versus a double stop pin, any knife system you find that has a double pin system, Grimsmo Norseman is a case, and I'll explain why. When you close your knife and you come up against the stop, it's a much gentler action. Like typically it's just like that, right? It's a gentle action. When you snap a knife open, you're slamming into that stop pin. If you have a double stop pin system, what that allows you to do is you can just replace that stop pin with a larger stop pin and take the blade play out. So what you're going to get is you're going to get that play in it against the stop pin. That is something that is going to be a problem. The other one that is really, really good is the triad lock, because it is built to lock in. As a matter of fact, the triad lock gets stronger the longer it's been, because it starts locking in on itself further. But I would say that any knife that has a double stop pin configuration, one for the closed position, one for the open, is going to be best, especially if it's just like they'll provide you. John Grimsmo provided me with 3 different size stop pins because I had a little bit of blade play in the original. I had Lock Rock in the original when I first got that knife because it was used when I bought my Norseman used. And I've done a video about this. And so what that allows you to do, he's like, okay, actually he sent me stop pins twice because I lost the first one. And then I got blade play after. At any rate, what you do is you take the next size bigger, and then that only controls your open position, and you don't have to worry about the close, because if you have to do this, and I've done a video about this, you have to remove material. If you put an oversized stop pin in here, you have to remove material on the inside of this knife where it locks in and touches the stop pin, or it's going to be sticking out because it changes the close position. So where that touches on the blade, you've got to remove some material. But like I said, the triad lock, if you watch how they talk about it over time, as that pin, because there's so much room in there that pin it stays locked in on itself because it just drives it in closer. So that lock, actually, it's stronger over time. Those would be the 2. This one is not a bad one because it kind of has the same thing. The lock kind of drifts over. Like, compression locks have a lot of travel that they're allowed in there. And so since the lock bar pinches in between the stop pin and the blade, it's going to last a lot longer with all those things being said. But yeah, those would be the ones. Axis lock is another one that is going to allow you to fidget with it a lot better. The one that I guarantee you is going to last the longest is that gravity knife, the exo gravity knife that I have, because there's no actual stop pin, so there's no deformation. You can fidget with it all the time. But that's the big reason that people's knives wear out, is the fidgeting. Like, it becomes a fidget toy, and I'm like, if you want a fidget toy, get a fucking fidget toy. Don't fidget with your knives. Like, if you watch my videos, I'm not one of those guys that does a lot of fidgeting with knives in a video. It's just one of those. It's one of those things. It's bad for your knives. It's bad for the longevity of your knives, especially, like I said, these aren't cheap. These are well over $100. I have news for you. This had some problems. As much as I love the Spyderco PM2, it's got some problems. It does. I definitely had some problems with it. It's a great knife. It's probably one of the best all-around EDC knives ever. I think I put it up as the best EDC knife ever. It still has problems. You got a fidget? I'll show you. You want a fidget toy? I'll show you, and I'll tell you where you can get it. I will show you the best fidget toy you're going to find. I have it right over here, because I fidget too. I just don't do it with knives. I got this from Jordy at Focus Works, the guy that makes the flashlights that him and Jim Skelton were. Hang on a second, this isn't straight. They felt weird. So Jordy over at Focus Works, he's a machinist. This is a double stack coin, and you're not gonna be able to see, it's green, but this is a double stack. Listen to it. There's magnets inside each of these, and these caps that you can't see because they're green. See how it just disappears? Isn't that cool? You can tighten and loosen these, and so the magnets, when they cross across each other, they rattle inside their housing. That's what I fidget with. Gives you that tactile. You can feel it, like crinkly. It just feels all. The word I use is crepitous. And this keeps me focused. There's a lot of times, like if you were to ever come in when I'm editing videos, that's all you hear. That's the big one. That's the one you hear. I love the fact that they are green screened out, but yeah, seems cool. Yeah, and they're not that expensive. I think like $90, but they are expensive. But I mean, you can put there are pockets where he's like, I've got pockets set in there where you can you can drop ball bearings in there so they rattle more. I will tell you, be careful if you get one of these, taking the tops off, the magnets want to fly out of their little pockets and then stick to each other. And then you got to fight with like 5 magnets that you got to try and get back down in their pockets. So these just screw, and you can adjust how loud they are here. So you still feel it, but you don't hear it. Yeah, it's great. It's a great little thing. It's awesome. And it's something you can fidget with. We have fidget cube. That's my daughter's. She uses that to fidget, to focus all that crazy weird energy while she's studying and stuff. What was this? Fidgeting with your knives is like chewing your fingernails. Sort of. I got to tell you, I did a video, and if you haven't watched it, you should. And I've only had 2 knives. I've only had 2 knives I've ever said about this on the channel. Flip flap. Everybody did that. I have to shave my palms now. The Pinkerton inversion is the second knife I've ever had on the channel that I would say, for the way it's built and what it's built for and its intended purpose, is perfect. This thing is as perfect as you're going to get in a self-defense folding knife. This is a folding Pikal with a wave feature. Now, if you watch the video, you can see where I talk about like the multiple configurations you can do with this knife. You can take the ring off. It's got a different pocket clip. There's more than one height for the pocket clip. Like you can absolutely raise the pocket clip all the way up. You can take it down one level because there's 3 holes. Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm going live with Joe and Scab and over on Joe's channel, JS Bladecraft. But at any rate, this thing just waves out of the pocket. It does have a flipper tab, but some people are like, oh, well, you can do this and you can carry it for EDC. And I'm like, that detracts from what this was designed to do. This was meant to go in your pocket, wave out like this, and then become a spur and just a devastating tool. Because just like right there, that's how it was meant. And you've now turned your hammer fist. If somebody's on top of you, you pull this out of your pocket, you hammer fist, and now instead of just beating on them with very little effect because they're on top of you, like they've got you full guard, right? Like full mount, they're on top of you, and they are just getting ready to pummel the crap out of you. Yeah, you only need a couple of those. Didn't Kaiser do an inversion? I don't know. But I do know that this, absolutely an awesome tool. With the ring on it and this wave feature that he put on it, it just flies out of the pocket. Flies out of the pocket, and then you've got that area there for your thumb. Just, you've got it. It's great. So, and it's sharp. It's got a slight little recurve to the blade, if you see, but not overwhelming. Man, this thing is great. This spends so much time in my pocket. So this is not the first one of these. I think he did a run. He may have done a run with Kaiser because there was one of these that came out, but these are only available on his website. There's only 200 of them. He sent me this one. This is number 75. So he sent me one. I think Jared got one too. I don't know if he's done a video about it yet. But yeah, that is probably the best purpose-built folding defense knife you're ever gonna find. You won't find one better. This is in my pocket so much. There's 2 knives that have really screwed me on pocket time with other stuff, especially with like things I want to carry. It's that Wii OAO. I'll grab it. You guys. Well, no, it's green. Shit. Well, I'll grab it anyway. It is the integral that Tashi Barucha did. I think there's enough black in that handle you'll be able to see it a little bit. So this is an integral. It's gonna be hard. This is gonna be hard to do with the green screen. This is that integral that Tashi did with We Knife Company. Yeah, you can see. But this is Jesus. So you can look at that. It's almost not there. It's phase shift. But this thing has got carbon fiber scales on top of the actual thing. And that's why this one's so light, is it's all milled out. That's been one of my big things about integrals. They're always too heavy. And this one is not heavy. It's very light. It's lighter than a lot of other knives I have that aren't integrals. And this is absolutely an integral. You can see it. It's a beautifully done one. And the other reason I don't like integrals is a lot of times they're kind of a pain with the internals to get them all lined up, and stuff gets out of position. And a lot of times the pivot is keyed, and then you have to fight with that to try and get it in there the right way. And sometimes the pivot is keyed, but then the hole on this side isn't, so you get it out of alignment. And you got to fight with getting the. At any rate, this has a keyed washer instead of a keyed pivot. So put your pivot in, put the top washer. Once you get your bearings in, then you drop your bearings on top of the blade, and then you drop, all the stuff that's in there, and then you drop the top washer, the keyed washer. It's got two little wings on it. You drop it in, and then you grab something, and you just push the wings up under until they're under the lips, and then you can drop the little window. If you've never taken an integral apart, they've got a little piece that comes out. It's like a window for you to get into the internals, and it's just a milled out area with a piece. And then that is keyed as well to let you drop it in so that nothing gets out of position. The easiest integral I've ever taken apart, and the only thing that holds those scales on is that one screw. You only see one screw on either side of the knife, and it's because they're dovetailed. You're gonna have a hard time seeing it because of the fact that the knife tries to disappear. But can you see that dovetail joint? That's what holds them. It is absolutely brilliant. Now, Tashi told me, I was originally giving Tashi credit for the keyed pivot. He didn't come up with that idea. Pretty much everything else was him, but he's like, oh, the engineers at We Knife Company thought of that. They were like, oh, we should key this pivot. And I'm like, it was brilliant. It was a very, very good idea. But the blade shape on it is just amazing. And people are like, oh, that's a $570 knife. Are you actually going to use it? I was like, I use this all the time. And they're like, I can't believe you use a knife that expensive. I don't believe you. I was like, I got knives way more expensive than that I use. I got $1,000 knives that I carry on a daily basis and use. My Norseman, my Fair and Forge Maker's Choice Master Blaster. That gets a lot of pocket time. You guys want to see that one? You guys always seem to like to see that one. And like I said, guys, the chat does help drive this. And if you haven't dropped a like, please do so. Please. It helps the algorithm. It helps push things up. It gets more people to see this because I'll go for another 45 minutes. Why don't people use their knives as an investment thing? I don't know. I really never have understood that. Sleepy insomnia. I've never understood folks that don't use their knives. It's never made sense to me. Somebody give me a heads up. Well, you guys go tell me what I'm going to grab that, my Fair and Forge so you guys can see it and tell you what I'm talking about. Tell me how many likes there are versus the people watching, because I guarantee it's not the same. I'd appreciate it if somebody just dropped that in the chat. Hang on a second. Let me grab that. I'm back. 24 likes, 17 watch. All right, that's good. But I guarantee that there's a lot of y'all that haven't dropped a like yet, and I'd appreciate it if you did. And I have to, this chat box isn't refreshing. I have to do this from time to time. I have to refresh it manually. I'm sorry. So, this is a knife I was talking about. This is the knife I was talking about. It is the Fair and Forge Knife Works Master Blaster, but this one has been absolutely carved and customized and things like that. So these were 600, and then you figure the carving on it. The running rate for Elliot to do carving was about $500, but because this was special, it was more than that. Because he actually inlaid, that's a copper inlay that's raised. So that was raised above the rest of the scale, and then he carved up to it. So this is in my pocket so often. And I try not to carry it too much because this is one of those knives that, like, if you use it too much, I'm gonna wear it out because it's got a single stop pin. It actually already had to have an oversized stop pin put in it. Let me refresh this as well, because that was incorrect. So yeah, this thing, you guys want to hear it? Tell me if this works. I haven't tried it yet. Was that in the echo chamber? Did it work? Did the echo chamber work? I gotta know. I gotta know if it just sounded normal. Yep, it worked. Okay, cool. I was just testing because I'm leaving this all set up because I'm leaving the entire setup up. Because I'm going live with Joe and Scab later today. So I'll put a link to that up as well. And I don't know if you guys have been noticed, I've been trying to do more shorts. If you guys don't watch the shorts, that's fine. But I've been doing a daily EDC dump. So whatever I've had in my pocket in the morning, which it truly was what was in my pocket this morning. But I'm trying to put out a bunch of shorts because it's going to drive people to the channel. And the fact is, I'm just not making the revenue that I had. And if I get any revenue from shorts, it'd just be an addition. Memberships are down. Everybody's hurting. No one drops super chats. And I understand it. It's fucking tough. Like, you got to make that decision. Like, can I drop $5 on a super chat for Mike? Or do we have milk in the refrigerator? No one wants to have to make that decision. I get it. That's why I don't, like, get all bent out of shape when I don't get super chats on a live feed. I just like to let you guys know it's available if you want to support the channel. The best thing you could do, though, like, if you're going to buy stuff, use my links. Use my links. They're fucking great. I'm trying to look at something here. I was going to show you. So I do. Yeah. So views on everything. I don't know what's going on. Views on everything is down. It's really down on everything. And I don't know why. What was that? Ooh, that sound. Yeah, the OG. Yeah, you're right. The OG Fortises. Or I'm just sorry, the OG Ferrums, they have a unique sound and a feel. Like, the way it feels when you deploy it just feels different than other knives. It's just got a solid sound to it. And then when they drop into detent, dropping into detent, just solid, just sounds solid. It's just got a, and then they're just brilliantly smooth because of that rolling detent. I want to talk about, I am going to do a video. I am going to talk about it, about knife companies you're never going to see on a channel again. Just because they're just not good people, in my opinion. Like Hoback, Hinderer, with that whole thing. Like, I won't put another Hinderer on my channel. I don't care how good everybody likes their knives and stuff. That whole shit of fucking going after Brian over at Transparent Knives for talking about, like, the fact that they run, like, stating a fucking piece of, stating fact and then giving a cease and desist. Jake Hoback knowingly misleading people with the Made in America thing, even though he knew they were being made and he knew they were being marketed as Made in America. He knew where they were being made. And the reason that upsets me is because back in the day, Jason Browse used to make knives, and he would have knives that were, he got the parts from vendors over offshore and stuff like that. And then he would assemble them in the United States. And the thing is, like, anything that's more than 50% of value that's added to it here, it can be called a US made product. And that's all he was doing. He was not breaking the law. And Jake Hoback led the charge that almost fucking ruined Jason Browse's business. And so, oh, the echo chamber. Yeah. There's just some companies that I won't, you probably won't see too many Benchmades on the channel. I'm not actively going out to seek out Benchmades because at this point, I don't know of any Benchmade that's being made that's worth the price they're charging. And people are like, well, that's funny. You have a Benchmade in every one of your review videos as a size comparison. I was like, that was a gift. That knife was a gift. I didn't buy that. I liked it. It was a knife I always wanted. But the fact was, when I got down to it, I was like, I'm not paying what they want for that knife. It's not worth it. And so when somebody gave me one, I was like, yeah, I'll take it. I always wanted one. And I'm happy I have it, and I keep it there, and it was a gift. And the guy that gave it to me, I still like, I shouted out like, hey, it was a great gift. It was something I always wanted, and they gave me one. The only thing I had to do was put a blade in it. And to Benchmade's credit, I've mentioned this in videos before. Benchmade put that blade in that knife for me for free. They were supposed to charge me. I gave them the stuff. I gave them the paperwork. They were supposed to contact me for payment before shipping, and the knife showed back up. Apparently, the guys at the show were like, he's a veteran. We're just going to do it for free. Like, they put it down as, I don't know how they did it. I didn't pay for that blade. It just came. It just showed up with a new blade in it. How about Spyderco? I am a fan of Spyderco. I think that their pricing structure is a little off the wall, but it's nowhere near as bad as what Spyderco's doing. Spyderco's horrible. Or I'm sorry, Benchmade's horrible about their pricing structure. The Anthem. My buddy bought an Anthem. And he told me, he's like, yeah, I paid $400 for it. I was like, what the fuck? That's not, like, it had problems. And it had a recurve in the blade, and it had issue. It was typically misground Benchmade. And I know that I was like, okay, you know what? It's not that bad of a knife. The heat treat was pretty good. It's a good looking knife. $400, I guess. He's like, oh, I got that because he's a cop. And he was like, oh, I got that through law enforcement first responder. He goes, I paid way, and then I looked, they're like $700 for the Anthem. I was like, that knife isn't worth $700 fucking dollars. There's not a single Benchmade on the market that's worth $700. Rickard's been a member. Well, he's been a member for 5 months. If you guys drop a super chat, that's what happens. Thank you very much, Rickard, for being a member for 5 months. Can you believe that? I got guys who've been members for like 2 years. Spyderco, though, Spyderco's knives, I think, are still a little bit on the pricey side for what you get for a lot of some of their knives. Some of their knives, absolutely worth it. The all steel police model that I have, absolutely, that is worth it. That's worth it. It's a quality product. It is a classic design. It's beautiful. It is a very, very good tactical style folding knife. You throw it in your pocket. It's got a longer blade, a lot of reach. It's a great, great knife. The PM2. I think the PM2 is worth the money, to tell you the truth, even though they have flaws. They get grind issues. They get sharpening, or like sharpening, primary grind or secondary grind issues, the sharpening grind. They have some problems with their stuff, especially stuff coming out of Golden, Colorado with the robot sharpening. It's the worst. It's inconsistent sharpening. But still, like, even with those things, the compression lock, they do have some centering issues. But overall, the heat treat, the handles, the compression lock, it makes it worth it. Their FRN stuff, you're not getting what you're paying for with the FRN. I do have to say they have definitely done a really good job with their heat treat as of late. Heat treat on their knives has been really good. This is probably some of the best S90V I've had outside of a custom heat treat that I got that I got from Elliot Williamson when he was doing custom heat treat on S90V. But with that being said, like, their knives, they're good knives. They are. And I like a lot of their designs. I don't think they're worth it. But yeah, Spyderco is not one of those companies. I like a lot of Spyderco's. The Endura, one of my all-time favorite knives. The Police, one of my all-time favorite knives. The Matriarch 2, one of my all-time favorite self-defense knives. Very similar to the Black Talon, which I've got to get sent back to my buddy. It's companies that are just definitely gouging their customers. Benchmade, absolutely. There's not a Benchmade on the market that's worth what you're paying for it. And then people are like, well, what about the Bug Out? The Bug Out's a piece of shit. The Bug Out's not a good knife. I could crap a better knife than a Bug Out. It's not Like everybody's like, well, you got. I was like, I don't like the bug out. That's my personal opinion. Oh, I wanted to address this. Somebody goes into comments of a video I did about the Grebby, the the Grebe that I did that went up yesterday. They're like, well, that's just like your opinions, man. I'm like, yeah, it's because it's my channel. Here's the thing. You know what? The Griptilian? Nah, that Doug Ritter Hogue is a better grip. Here's the thing. Benchmade is getting, this is what I keep saying. Benchmade is getting beat to the punch by companies doing their shit better than them. The Hogue, that Hogue Ritter collab, that is a better Griptilian than the Griptilian. The Axis lock that is on that mini Vosteed, what is it? It's the Vosteed Mini Nightshade. That is hands down the best Axis lock I've had on a knife. It's a $50 knife. It's better than how much is somebody tell me how much is a Benchmade 940 right now? Because my 940, you can't adjust, you can't get that pivot right on that Axis lock. You tighten the pivot down a little bit, it's too tight, it's a two-hand opener. You open it up to where you got free movement, it's got blade play. There's no happy medium. Either it's locked up so tight that it takes two hands, or you've got to deal with the fact that that blade play is just wobbly. That's their design. That lock system and pivot that they use on it, that's theirs. But they refuse to address the issues. I will say that the Axis lock that was in the Anthem, which was like a plunger spring and it was linear, that was great. It was great. Ran on bearings. It was an integral. That was great. But to be beat to the punch and have other companies do your shit better than you, like I couldn't do that. Like I was competitive. When I was in the military, I was competitive. If somebody did my job better than me, I was pissed. It's over $200. Well, and that's the other, like, I like it, but it's not a knife I would carry. Like it's too thick. Like it needs to, I'm going to grab another knife. They need to wake up and start getting their designs right. I have a knife that I personally think, and people are like, oh, you're an idiot. I have a knife that I personally think is a 940 killer, and I'm going to grab both knives. I'm going to show you to you side by side. Give me a moment of air silence. I'm going to go over here and grab them. This knife. Okay. These knives are absolutely comparable. These knives are absolutely comparable. Size, weight, purpose use, blade, everything. So this is the 940, and this is the Solar Storm, the Eric Oaks Solar Storm. Really, really similar. Much better clean design, better looking knife. Relatively the same price. I want you to keep that in mind. I'm not saying that this is a more affordable option. Milled pocket clip, micarta scales, bolster lock style knife, right? Hollow ground blade with a much more usable point, and it is thin. You can actually cut with this. That's the problem I have with the 940. Like, it's so thick behind the edge that it's not a good cutter. This is a very good cutter. This one is an S90V, the blade on this, but usually you get an S30V on this knife. I put an S90V blade in it. Somebody gifted me an S90V blade. Jojo Jeep used to be on the channel a lot here. In the comments, he reached out and he's like, hey, I've got a S90V blade if you want to swap it out. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And so he's like, you'll have to resharpen it. It's all jacked up. The tip's kind of blunted. And I was like, they come with a blunted. They don't have a tip. Fine. So this one is an S90V blade. But your standard blade, you know, it's S30V, which is, in my opinion, not a great steel. M390. Right there, comparable in price. Much better knife. Much more comfortable. The milling that's up here on this, jimping in a pinch grip. And it's micarta, so it's not slippery. This If you want a knife that is the same size and form factor style of the 940, this is the one you want. And it's a flipper. A lot of people don't like frame locks. I would say I like the frame lock on this better than I like the axis lock on this. This thing, oh, I wish maybe you can see it. Let's see. How well can you see this? Can you see? There's a lot of, I can't get it to where you guys can see it. There's a lot of blade play in that. And if I tighten that pivot down at all, it's not even that free right now. If I tighten that pivot down anymore, you can't. It takes two hands to open this thing. This thing is running on bearings. It's easier to take apart and clean up. I'm gonna tell you, it's definitely, in my opinion, the superior of the two knives. And if Benchmade would just do a couple things, the Osborne. You don't even have to change the form factor. Maybe use a thinner blade stock and hollow grind that blade. Maybe make it, maybe get rid of that swedge and give it an actual point. Just some little things that would just absolutely take this to a completely different level. That's why I got the Nightshade. I wanted the Schilling cutter, but but the wait list was like 10 years. Oh, you're talking about the Bob Lum. Yeah. Bob's a good dude. I've met Bob a couple times. Yeah. There's so many options, and then people are like, "Oh yeah, but that's a Chinese knife." And I'm like, "It's OEM. There's a definite difference." There's a definite difference between a company that's doing OEM and a Chinese company. But when you really look at it, and people are going to disagree with me, if you buy a knife, say you go to Blade HQ, any of your vendors, you go to Blade HQ and you buy the Wee knives. Oh, here we go. The Yan knives. Well, that's an OEM. That doesn't really count. Okay, so you go buy a Reat Horizon on Blade HQ, and you pay $400 for it. If that's the running price. I don't know. That's what it was when I bought mine. The fact is, if you do that, there's not that much that, like, the lion's share of the money you spend on that knife stays in the United States, because you pay the vendor. If it's a U.S. designer, you're paying the designer. If it is, you're paying all those things, and the majority of that money stays here. And the flip side of it is, I have not seen, case in point, these knives are kind of comparable in price. The best EDC on the market, in my opinion. Like I said, don't get me wrong. Golden, Colorado, USA made, awesome. As far as build, construction, fit, and finish, and fucking shit, this is a better knife. It's just, and it's unfair. It's unfair that U.S. companies are doing this to us. They make their products out of Benchmade. Their products are out of reach. They're out of reach financially for most of us, especially at this point. Like I said, I can't afford to drop super chats on channels that I like. I couldn't do this channel without Budget Knives. I couldn't do this channel without Jared's help over at Neves Knives. If you guys don't follow Jared over at Neves, absolutely you should. 99% of the stuff you see on this channel comes from Jared. I get very little things from companies and stuff like that. So it's kind of unfair. But then you look at the things that people are doing. We want $20 minimum wage and stuff like that. I'm like, well, that's just not going to. That's what's driving the issue we have. And then companies that aren't willing to concede a little bit. Those knives aren't worth $700. There's not a lot of knives out there that are worth $700. To tell you the truth. There's not a lot. Yeah, there's not a lot of knives out there that are worth what you're paying for on them. My Sleece Buoy should be in today. I know they're overrated. Sleece Buoy is a Spyderco I just can't figure out. Like, the only reason they ever sold those knives because Nick Shabazz did it. I tell him that every time I talk to him on the phone. I was like, Nick, you know the only reason that they ever sold those knives was because you did that video and it blew up and everybody wanted one. It's not a great knife. It's not a great knife. Spyderco has some great knives, and they have some off-the-wall knives that that you don't see from other companies. I will say Spyderco is willing to take some risks. Really, they are. There's some knives that they have that are just weird. They have weird knives. They really do. They have some weird knives, and that's one of the things I do appreciate about Spyderco is they are willing to take risks. And I always like to see like some of the crazy shit that they do. I always dig it. Like, there's always going to be a place on this channel for a Spyderco, especially any of the crazy ones. They have some off-the-wall designs. What I really want to get on the channel sometime is a... Do you remember their warrior knife that they made, the fixed blade? That had the weird blade and then the back like recurve, and it was like sharp on both. It was weird looking. I want to see one of those. What was the one that the Spyderco Tough, the one that was like the big long like canted one with the funky blade and the crazy handles? Those are just over the top and insane. The fact that they're willing to make those, just I love it. I love it. I see that people are leaving. If you guys are leaving, tell me why you're leaving. Like, don't just bounce. Like, let me know what's going on. And if you haven't dropped a like, please do so. There's only 11 people watching. We may end this here in a few minutes. So you guys want to end this? Because I can easily end this because I'm tired of sitting. Oh, there's 15. God, I wish I could get more than 15 people on a fucking live feed. That would be great. Tell you the truth, the chat's not driving this very well. So, if you guys want to keep going, we got to drive the chat a little bit. If not, I'm gonna end. I can't just sit here and play Dance Monkey Dance for 2 hours. There has not been as much interaction. I was like, the 940 is an iconic, gave birth to an already existing K-tip, an already existing shape K-tip, and converted it to reverse Tanto in 2000. Calling it a reverse Tanto is ridiculous. You're right, Lone Star. It was an existing tip. It was an existing blade shape. Hang on a second. I gotta let the dog back in. Give me just a second. He wants in. Yeah, that was ridiculous. There's other stuff. There's other stuff that companies have said and come up with that makes it's silly. What was it? I was Plain Edge. Did you know? Did you know? You ready for this? This is a funny one. Spyderco. You can go to the website and look at it. Spyderco has Plain Edge copyrighted. Not even joking. If you go look. What are you doing, dog? Don't you knock them lights over. What's this? What's everyone's favorite grind? Personally, I like hollow and full flat. Hollow grinds are great. Hollow grinds are great. I have to say, a really good full flat that comes down hollow, or like really thin, I mean, is very, very good. I like a hollow. Scandies are really good depending on what you're doing. What's this? Rickards, I'm drinking a beer right now and having pizza in the oven. That's cool. Yeah, Scandi grinds are great for a lot of bushcraft stuff and stuff like that. So is a chisel. Like I said, this is something that would definitely come in handy with bushcraft. Going back to these outdoor element flicker fires, the flicker series. They're the feather series, flicker. This is the flicker feather. I think it's the feather series, what they call it. It's a Kickstarter. I think the Kickstarter already ended, so I think you can start picking these up. This is something it would be great in a bushcraft capacity because you've got multiple. You could do a lot of different things with this. This is my Cold Steel Tiger Claw. Has a strange V shaped chisel grind, V-shaped, but only sharpened on one side. Huh. I know that Emerson did a bunch of stuff like that, where you had what looked like a chisel, what was a chisel, but then also was sharpened to a, what do you want to call it? So it looked like a V grind, but it was only sharpened on one side. So it was like a V ground blade, but only sharpened on it for like a chiseled edge. Like the primary, your sharpening edge, your sharpened edge was single sided. And I never liked those. I was like, why not just like this? It makes it a lot. This is going to be a lot easier to sharpen than something that's like V ground with then a. So the blade is ground into a V, but then it's only sharpened on one edge. And I'm like, that's silly. Like it would make more sense to just do something like this. These are ridiculously sharp. I have to say, this is one of the sharp. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. This is one of the sharpest knives that has showed up in ever. It's scary. Like it's scary sharp. I've touched it up on a strop. I did some stuff with it, but I touched it up on a strop. Super easy to touch these up. But the fact is, it has an actual chisel on it. So if you're doing stuff out in the field, like if you're building a lean-to and you got to notch things, you got an actual chisel to do it with. You know what I'm saying? Like you're building a lean-to and you want to notch things out. Instead of trying to do it with, like you could do a lot of that with an actual chisel. That's what you're going to use, is this. And it's easy to do it. You get your middle finger in here, your finger up here, and it's like you've got a chisel in your hand. It's like a woodworking chisel. It's awesome. I don't get anything for talking about these either. Like they sent these to me to see if I wanted to see them, and I was like, this is actually great. And I think the Kickstarter did well. I'm really happy for them. They had another item that was an outdoor item. It was a carabiner that they had like a striker from a lighter, like one of these, like the striker from a lighter built into the carabiner for striking for striking tinder, so that you didn't necessarily have to have a ferrocerium rod. You could just have that, and it would just be on a carabiner. It still worked as a functional carabiner for gear and stuff. Not like a weight, like load-bearing carabiner, but like the ones you use for lashing gear to stuff. And I was like, that's a brilliant idea. And my buddy told me about it. He's like, hey, they're making some knives that are going to have things like that as well. And I was like, okay, I'm listening. And so when they asked me if I wanted to see them, I was like, yeah, absolutely. Scab's going to love your stonefish. I put that design up there with Bob Truzola's fixed place. Speaking of Bob, I'm going to Bob's house tomorrow to film at his shop. So you guys will see that video coming. It's going to take a lot of editing. So I've tried to do a couple bigger videos, like the one I did with Elliot and the one I'm doing with Bob, but nobody's watching them. So I'm like, do I continue to do this? What's the return on investment? Like, and it's not because I had some low energy in that video. I didn't feel good that day. I was sick when I was at Elliot's shop. But people just aren't watching it. And I'm like, well, it doesn't matter how I act in the video if people aren't even clicking on it. So if you haven't seen it, I did a video. It's about 35 minutes long. And granted, I was sick, so I was a little bit more subdued. I felt okay when I left, and then I just felt like shit by the time we had sat and talked for a little bit and then started filming. But like, there's a lot of stuff. Elliot talks about plans forward for the business, knives that they got in design. I brought back a couple prototypes that no one's ever seen. And so that stuff's all going to be in that video. And then I have a video I filmed yesterday, which is the prototype knives that no one's seen, that are here. That I have with me. I have one that is a folding Lackey based on their Lackey fixed blade, and another one that didn't have a name. So if you haven't watched that video, you probably should. It's a really good video, and Elliot has a lot of stuff in it. But like I said, I was sick. It's not at all Elliot's fault that video was slow. I mean, we still had fun, but the other thing too was I was trying to keep. If Elliot and I go like full bore, me and Elliot, it's almost unwatchable. We just get to goofing off, and then it's just worthless. We do that on live feeds. But I wanted him to talk about what's going on with the business, things moving forward, things like that, new knife designs. They are going to be doing a lot of new button lock models, because button locks are Button locks aren't trash anymore. They used to be. Now they're a pretty good lock, even on a budget knife. And then what else is coming up? I got some compilation videos, like some smaller knife videos, like talking about smaller knives versus larger knives. Nice thing about smaller knives is a lot of times you're not giving anything up with a smaller knife. As a matter of fact, I've got to say the mini nightshade is better than the full-size nightshade. It really is. You're not giving anything up on cutting. You're not giving anything up on blade. You're not giving anything up on comfort. It's every bit as good as and I mean, it's as good and, in my opinion, better than the full size. And don't get me wrong, the big one's great. When I got the mini, I'm like, this is better. It addresses the cut better. And like I said, for as much smaller as it is, you're not losing anything. It's really good. And then I have another video coming up. You guys are going to see something cool. Don't go anywhere. I know I'm going to stand up, but I was given something. Sorry. I was given something. I was absolutely not expecting this. I was given something incredible, basically as a gift from the maker. You guys remember a while back, I had this knife. This is the Lamia by Steingraber Performance Knives. And I did a video about it, and it's an amazing knife. It's up there. It is one of the top 3 companies, like American-made knives you're going to find. And I'm not saying it's like any order. Personally, I think the best best knife period, the best knife I've ever had on the channel was the Mini Arius by Koenig Knives. Like, hands down, that is the best knife I've had on the channel. For me, like, personally. Like, the way it hits all the wickets and everything I want, it's amazing. It's the best knife I've ever had on the channel. It's probably the best American-made knife you can get. But as far as, like, the things I love about that and why it's the best, for me, it's the best knife. It's different for everybody. This, if I had to say there was 3 companies, like, to throw it out there, 3 companies, American-made companies, that I would say are the top. It's Steingraber, Reeves Knives, CRK, and Koenig. Those are like the top 3. I know there's other American-made companies out there. I know people love a bunch of the other companies. These are the top 3. And I think as far as cutting, this is probably the best cutting knife I've ever had. And now that this one's mine, there's more stuff. There's stuff I'm going to do with this that I wasn't going to, because this was sent to me as a review knife. And I told Alex, I was like, hey, I got to send that knife back to you. And then I forgot. This fell back behind some stuff. And I told Alex, I was like, oh, hey, I still haven't sent that knife, but I've got it wrapped and I've got it up at the front. So I know what it is, so it doesn't get misplaced and things. Like, he's like, just don't even bother. It's yours. I'm like, nah, you don't have to. He's like, no, it's yours. So this is the Crewwear version of this knife. He's doing a run of the Lamia of this knife in LMAX. You have got to be on his mailing list though, because he doesn't put them up on his website because Shopify doesn't let you put knives up. And they're like, oh, he's putting weapons on the website. And so he was like, I can't do it. So if you want to get notified of when the LMAX ones drop, he's trying to do more. This knife is absolutely incredible. You're not going to find a knife that cuts better. But they're going to be going up on his mailing list soon. So that's how you have to get a hold of that. So, and like I said, guys, I have got no one joined the public Discord. We put the link up and none of you guys joined. If you have things you want to see on the channel and put up on the channel, or if you just want to goof off and post things, go to that public Discord. Zorro posted it up a little bit ago. It's in the comments section. Scroll up till you find it. That is going to be something I want to do. I'm giving you guys something free. I built a private one for my paying members, but I also built a public one for everyone. I'm trying to give it to you for free. Free. Like, that doesn't cost you a fucking thing. Click that link. There you go. That's it. That's all it takes. And then you can just, what is this? I'm sorry, Rickert. I didn't see your original put. What'd you put? I'm liking the full Thai cold steel 8015. Getting a reblade. Why does it need a reblade? Do you guys know, is Instagram back up yet? I don't know. So yeah, that's, like I said, there's a DM function in that public Discord. And I mean, it's free for you guys, and I put work into setting it up. So I'd appreciate if you guys, it gives us just more interaction. It's just a way to build the community. I'm going to start, if you guys, I'm going to start I'm putting up notifications on there, like, because YouTube doesn't send notifications for live feeds. So if you want to catch my live feeds, I'm going to start posting that in the note, in that that public Discord that Zorro put the link up for. It's like the best way to like keep in touch with the other channel followers and subscribers and stuff like that. You can post up pocket drop pictures. You can put up pictures. You can put up all kinds of stuff if you want on there. So I'm going to wrap this up. Been doing this for almost 2 hours. I have to do a live feed later tonight with Joe and Scab. So we were originally going to record it, but I think it's going to be an actual live feed this time. So any final thoughts? You are not going to believe what kind of steel and for how much. Well, I'm not going to know it unless you put it up in the comments. What kind of steel and how much? And if it's a good deal, I've never understood the concept of modifying a knife. Like, even when there was knife pimpers around. You remember, guys, when Tough Thumbs, when Jeff was doing knife modding? And as much as I appreciated he was doing a lot of work, I'm not going to make a guess. I don't guess on shit. I'm just in it unless you post it. But Jeff used to mod knives. And I was like, why don't I just find a knife I'm happy with? And for what you at that point, like when you would pay Jeff to modify a knife, you've already paid for the knife. And so you've already paid for the knife. Hey, somebody joined. Who joined? JB Knife Collector has joined. Well, JB, you were already a paying member. You should have joined the gilded, the paying members. The point was you would pay a couple hundred Rex 121 for 240. I guess that's not bad, but you got to figure that's like doubling. That's like doubling the price of the knife, really. Like, I would have just found a knife I liked in Rex 121 and done something. But at any rate, what I was saying is, like, I never understood taking, if you wanted a knife that looked that way, why not just commission a custom knife to be made? You know what I mean? Give them some direction. Say, hey, this is what I want. This is my idea. And I mean, you would have been right in the same realm, I guess, and you would have only made one purchase. I just never understood. I just never understood that. I'm going to say something. I don't like XHP steel. I never have. Okay, I take that back. I've had good XHP. I had a Spyderco in CTS XHP, and I guess it was the heat treat. I never liked the edge that steel took. I never liked it. It held an edge really well, but I just never liked the edge it took. Now, Cold Steel did some stuff in XHP, and it was absolutely amazing. Cold Steel is a company that always gets their heat treat right. And Spyderco kind of is now. They are now. They've had some hiccups with heat treat in the past. I have a ZDP 189 that the heat treat is crappy on from Spyderco, a ZT 189 Endura. But Cold Steel has always gotten the most out of their heat treats. They always have, even when they're doing crappy steels. Even when they're doing like OS 8, their OS 8 was better than any other company's OS 8, and it was better as a crappy steel than some better steels from other companies. And a lot of it has to go with they just did it right. The video that Jared did the other day talking about Hinderer's heat treats, toughness versus, you know, all this. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that steel so at such a low HRC when your knives aren't for hard use, as indicated by the failures of the locks that Jared had. And so I'm like, that doesn't mesh with what you're putting out. Like, doing it that way doesn't mesh with what you got two different things. You're trying to do two things and you're not doing either one of them well. That's my thing with the Benchmade 940. They wanted a minimal sized everyday carry, but then they tried to go hard use, and it really wound up not fitting either one of those roles. Can't really hard use it. You can't really hard use this knife because of the way it feels in hand. And you can't really do EDC tasks because it's built for hard use with that thick behind the edge. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's trying to do more than it should, and it winds up not doing either. You know what I mean? Like, what was it my grandfather used to say? Jack of all trades, but master of none. Do one thing really good. Do one thing really well, and people will buy it. Indicated by, this is the best cutting knife I've ever had. This is one of the best, thinnest behind the edge profiles. The newer ones are even thinner. This thing just screams through. I did a video where I stripped the edge off of it on a ceramic rod, and still it cut cardboard better than a lot of other knives in my collection. Do something well, and people will appreciate it for that. When you try to do too many things, that's the problem with neck knives. They try to do too many things and they don't do any of them well. That's why this knife, where'd I put it? That's why I say this knife is kind of an exception. This is kind of a neck knife configuration, and it's got the spots so you can carry it as a neck knife. But what does it do? It does a lot of different stuff, but it does all of them really well. So if you're going to do it, at least do it right. A lot of thought that went into this. So yeah, guys, there's only like 2 minutes left. If you want, I'm gonna put up a link to the to Joe's channel for the live feed tonight. But just know I'm gonna be on. I think they're doing it dual stream on Scab's channel and on my channel. I'll find out for sure. But that's where I'm gonna be tonight. So for an hour. So you're gonna get another hour of me live tonight. So with that being said, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. I gotta clean up this mess out here and be ready to do a live. Like I said, this is the video you're getting today because I couldn't upload the video I wanted to because it had a copyright claim on it. So with that being said, guys, check out my video that went up yesterday. I put up 2 videos yesterday. Check them both out. And then make sure that you, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you do so. So anyway, I had something I was going to say. I forgot what it was. Guys, I'm going to end this. I will see you guys later. And if you missed the beginning of the live stream, go back and hit it up.